right, today we've got a special guest, Jason Hiland, founder and CEO of Sub 70 Golf. Jason, welcome to the show. How the heck are you doing?
I am good. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and Sub 70 Golf first off, and then we'll get into maybe some harder questions for you.
Yeah, I mean, Sub 70 Golf is a direct-to-consumer company, but it's boutique or high-end. So everything's hand-built here in Sycamore, Illinois. Bunch of different options for custom shafts, grips. If you can imagine it, we can do it. We have a full line of golf clubs from, putters all the way to drivers. And it's sort of like, imagine your major OEMs, but even a little bit more boutique-ish, but we can hopefully offer a little bit of a better value and more customization because it's direct to consumer. So we get to deal with the end user. There's no middle guy in between us. So we can kind of eliminate some traditional chains that instead of having two people having to mark it up, you're just dealing with one company and it's just a little bit more efficient. And, nothing's pre-made. Everything's hand-built just like we do it for the pros. So that's sort of the gist of what Sub 70 kind of is, on the simple version of it.
Wow. Pretty impressive. I mean, to talk, you just said handcrafted. Give us an idea of what that means, because you're doing that, like you said, in Sycamore, Illinois. It's a Midwest company. We're in the Midwest, but what do you mean specifically when you say handcrafted? Give us an idea of what that is.
Yeah, so like let's say you go to a PGA Tour Superstore, and there's nothing wrong with this, but if you go and buy a set of pick your major OEM off the shelf that day, they've been mass produced, right? And they have to for the volume we're going through. Now you can also order from those guys and have it at the custom shop and they'll do it. Everything we do is like it's at the custom shop. There's nothing pre-made. Wow. So we have no pre-made Sub 70 clubs. So it all comes in as components and then we build it to each order, just like we would do for the guys on tour we work with, no different. Wow. So your clubs get built, even if it's standard, standard length, a dynamic gold S300, Lamkin crossline grip, standard lie, standard loft, it still gets built, double checked by hand because none of the clubs are exactly perfect. It always, to get loft and lies and all that stuff and the head weight's perfect, you got to go through the set.
Yeah.
And to make sure that they're right. So
we can attest to that. I think recently my clubs were all supposed to be standard, and Dave Miller over here, to my counterpart here, went through everything and found what they were like 1 to 2 degree off on the laterals a lot of the times. So
right.
We check all that stuff before it goes out, because from a manufacturing process, none of them are absolutely to spec. You have to go through and do them by hand. And that's what we've chose to do kind of from the start, from Sub 70. And I've been in the golf business my whole life, knowing that they're not perfect unless you do that.
Right. And perfect segue. Thank you for doing that. But like, talk a little bit about where you came from, because like Sub 70 is not just your only business that you're running. You've got Hurricane Golf and then you've got Diamond Golf Tour. So talk a little bit about those two for us.
So I started Diamond Tour Golf in 1995 when I graduated from college, played college golf, realized, not much talent there. But if I want to stick around the golf side of it, I better learn the business side. So the internet was coming out. It's a golf component company called Diamond Tour Golf, still around today. Mm-hmm. Not growing as fast as like Sub 70, but it has a nice established brand. And we would compete back in the day against like, Golfsmith is no more. But before Golfsmith went like retail and they sold the shafts and the parts and all that, that's what we competed against, and still going today. Then in 2008, we started Hurricane Golf, which is sort of like a TJ Maxx of golf online. So we might buy 1,200 pairs of Puma golf shoes and put them on Walmart.com, our website, Amazon, eBay, and just kind of buy in large volumes for opportunity buys. And then let's see, we started about 2015 of the idea, but then Sub 70 launched in 18 as this sort of outside the box crazy idea of this real boutique-ish hand-built idea, but using technology to cut the links in the chain to make it a better value and customize everything. So we have 3 golf club companies. I spend most all of my time on the Sub 70 side. It's growing so fast, but we have ran 3 of them and all have worked. But Sub 70 is the most special of it to me, just because of the growth and being seen on tour. And I always tell people it's fun to build Aston Martins, right? Like the high-end stuff's really fun to do.
Yeah, you put in all your hard work in 1995, then you got to do it in 2008, and then you're like, you know what? I'm going to do this how I want to do in 2015, 18 is what you kind of did. It feels
It gave me the freedom to break the rules, right? Because we don't do product life cycle. I mean, we did a bunch of stuff you're not supposed to be able to do, but I didn't care because we had the other 2 companies. Like I really wanted to do this. I mean, I care that I didn't care if it worked or not. I thought it would work. Right. I thought we had something to it, but I was just going to do this as like a passion project. It's been fun. It's been a hell of a fun ride. It really has.
It's I would say first and foremost, I mean, you probably nailed the branding logo component of it, because there's not a lot of people that don't see that and go, what is going on here? So give us an idea of what, I guess, the logo means, maybe behind the scene a little bit of how you came up with it, and obviously sub 70, but how did you
Yeah.
get?
Well, it's simple, right? It's just sub 70. So the best logos I think in the world are simple, right? Like
Right.
you recognize, a Rolex crown or something like that, when you see it, right? So simple is good. And we just thought this logo with the line with the 70, it just flowed. And then the name sub 70 just had like a great flow to it, right? And it's such a positive thing in golf where, you know, pick your PGA Tour player, great round today, sub 70. They'll say that actually on like a broadcast. So it just sort of flew, the flow of it sounded good, sub 70. Then we, hopefully matched up the logo where people kind of go, hey, what is that? Or, oh, I get it. The
Yeah.
line 70. So it's kind of a conversation piece too, where people seem to naturally like the logo.
Give you some time to talk about some of the recent product releases, but My Golf Spy has ranked you as the #1 direct-to-consumer golf brand. Give us an idea of what that means, not only to you, but maybe everyone at the company.
Well, we were proud of it, right? Because we always said, like, for this to work and for it to be different, but to really excel, the customer service has to be there. Meaning, there's live people in Sycamore, Illinois you can talk to. My cell number's out there. People can get a hold of us, and we're genuinely care and we help, and we want to make sure you play better golf with the equipment you get from us. Not just, we don't want the customer just to be an invoice number. So we just like try to make like Nordstrom level of service, even though it's mainly internet based. So that was like in the DNA of the culture when we started this from the start, because we knew it could be a competitive advantage to have this really great customer service. What's it mean? I mean, I guess it reinforces that, not that we're perfect, not that we can't keep learning, not that we can't get better, but we're doing some things right for the, because we don't control the survey or anything. The customers are giving that feedback back to those guys. So it's good reinforcement, that we're doing a good job with it. But, you're always striving to do better each day. Like, it's not like, oh, we won that, so now we're great and keep the accelerator down. Like, it's just, it's a nice little check mark, but it just keeps you motivated to keep doing and getting better and better and better each day with it.
Yeah, it's just a check mark in the journey, essentially, to where you want to go. Yeah.
Okay,
And
like, this is good, like, we're proud of it, and you just keep
yeah.
grinding, right? Keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I can attest to the communication, because you and I have been emailing back and forth. It wasn't through anybody else; it was just you and I emailing back and forth. So that being said, he's very actively involved. Let's put it that way. So
an interesting thing that you said, and it's fascinating to even think about it, because the three of us know it. As you said, when the internet was getting started, it's crazy to think that back in 95, 96, the internet wasn't really a thing. And that shows that you're right. Just thinking ahead and pushing forward with that innovation. So I think that's great. And I'm on the sub 70 forum on Facebook, and the people, the customers, they're fanatical about the product, and it's so exciting to watch, because I had heard of sub 70, and then I'd finally seen a set out in the wild out here. One of the guys we golf with was playing with a set of 699s. I'm like, oh man, I got to try these, but he was left-handed, so it didn't quite work out for me the way I wanted to. And then ever since then, that's when I started going down the rabbit hole. So I think I currently own a set of the Tommy Armour the thirds, the raw set, and I'm pleased as punch with those things. And really, my question is, how in the heck did you guys end up hooking up with a name like Tommy Armour the third to develop a product to sell to the masses?
Yeah, so that was all through. So, basically the question is, how did I start working with TA? Is I had Sandy, his brother, on the podcast. Sandy also played professionally over in Europe and Australasian Tour, South African Tour in the 80s and 90s. And he's caddying now on the Champions Tour. He used to caddy for TA, teaches. So, especially with the family history, grandfather being the Silver Scott, I had Sandy on the podcast. Sandy's like the nicest human being, the absolute best, right? So I got to be friendly with Sandy. We built a set of clubs for Sandy. We sent him out to him in Vegas. TA lives in Vegas, so does Sandy, that grew up there. And then, never asked to talk to TA, just because, like, I don't roll that way, right? Like, friends with Sandy, and, I'm not trying to, like, go up the ladder here with this. But somehow they were playing golf, and that's what they do. And Sandy showed TA the clubs, and then TA's like, well, that's kind of interesting. What is this? And then Sandy explained it. Then one day I got a call from Sandy. And it's like, hey, a big guy wants to talk to you. Are you cool with, if you get this number, don't share it with anybody. And if the phone line comes across, can you grab it? Like, well, of course, and he was one of my heroes growing up, really like, it's that era of Freddie and TA and O'Meara and Kelk, and those guys were my heroes age group rise, right? Like guys in the early 60s, when you're growing up, they were in their prime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we just, started talking about what we're doing for the company. And he said, you work on anything, new? And I said, well, I've got this kind of like idea for a blade, but it has like a rotational gravity system. The longer irons would be lower, which turned, and I kind of explained it to him. He's like, you got drawings? And I'm like, yeah, which turned out to be the TA3 iron. I had the concept, and Tommy sort of ran with it, liked the idea, and then we sort of co-branded that one together and put his hands on it, all the years of experience on tour. I kind of had the concept and he kind of ran with it. And then we kind of partnered up on that one, just like we did with the wedge. And, it's really cool because you're getting all of those years on tour where it's not, just a pro who plays the club because they have a contract. Like Tommy had the end vote on that, meaning if it never got to the level where he would put in his own bag and play him on the Champions Tour, it doesn't get made. He gets the veto vote. Yeah. And we gave him that much leeway to help develop it. And the feedback you get from him, and he's still just such a great player, and he knows so much about it. It's been really educational. So we think it's very cool that when we work with a pro, it's not just a pro playing the clubs, but we'd rather do a lot of times where the pro helps us develop the golf club. Mm-hmm. And with the family history and all, Tom's a gearhead. He knows the stuff. It was who better to work with than TA3?
Yeah. I'm just fascinated by them. Yeah, because, and my golf swing isn't where I want it to be, but I went ahead and took them out early in the spring anyhow. And to me, it's just fascinating how forgiving of a blade it is, for one.
Yeah.
And then when you start looking at it and you really take a deep dive into it, like the little pockets on the back of the long irons, the things like that help with that. And that level of detail you don't always see from a lot of manufacturers. So kudos to you guys for building such a great product, in my opinion.
I'll give TA the credit on that. I had the general idea, but he really helped develop it into his signature iron. He really did a hell of a job with it. And most of the guys on tour play Tom's clubs, right? Zach Fisher and those, Flores, the guys we work with. It wasn't designed that way, but it really is a great club for like that elite player and, low handicap. You definitely have to have some speed to make that one work. He kind of developed it for himself. So it's definitely a low handicapper's club, but the touring pros who work with besides Tom still really like that iron. It's the most popular one. So it's been such a, cool experience to get to be, friends with one of your heroes that you kind of, grew up as a hero and now he's a friend. So we talk all the time. He's a great dude. He really is.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well done. What irons are you playing then? Are you playing the Tommy?
No, well, I'm playing our 659 TCs. I've had injury last couple of years. I just had knee replacement 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I've been kind of trying to fight through it. So I used a little bit more of a forgiving iron the last couple of years, just because the ball striking's been a little suspect with the left knee injury. So I went to our TCs. I have a set. I played around with it, but I just need a little lower center of gravity because I can't quite rotate through. And then a couple of weeks ago, I've bit the bullet, had it fixed. Still kind of don't have a knee replacement for fun. Let me tell you that. So next year, if one's healthy and I'm a few months away from it at least, then we'll kind of reconvene, see what the golf swing looks like. So I've been fighting injuries since those things kind of came out. So we'll see what it looks like when I'm fully healthy here.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I don't want to bring up too much controversy, but I'd love to get your thoughts on the rollback, the ball rollback stuff that's happening with the USGA and the R&A.
I don't think it's a good idea, especially from and I'm not trying to defend Titleist here, but it's a shit show. Like, so what are you going to do? Go spend millions of dollars to develop a ball for 23 guys? Like, I don't understand it. Like, and then now you're gonna have to market a ball that the pros don't play. Right. Like, I don't understand how. I mean, does Titleist just say, "Fine, I'm not making a ball for this. This is crazy time"? And eventually, does the PGA Tour just say, "We're gonna make our own rules"? Like, we're not following the USGA and R&A anymore, right? Like, probably shouldn't have killed the belly putter. I don't know if that helped. I don't think it helped some of their. Keegan Bradley was a I mean, it's taken them 10 years to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
People like seeing birdies.
Yeah.
People, I don't think golf's in a bad place. I don't think people mind seeing. I mean, I don't mind going out to the John Deere Classic, which is our hometown event here, and watching, somebody shoot 22 under par for 4 rounds, knowing from the tips, I can't shoot 76, 75 maybe. And I'm always impressed by how good those guys are. So I like seeing 320-yard bombs and 7 birdies in a round. Sorry, I just do.
Right.
But I look at it from a man, and the other weird part is like for us, right? So let's say, well, there's 2 parts. Then where does it stop? Did the Champions Tour guys play it? What about D1 or D2 golfers? When's it the mid-am? Does the AM? It's a shit show. So then how do you do it?
Yeah.
And then the other part is, do I have to redevelop new irons for my tour guys?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
From
I agree.
spin rate to all of it. Like, so then do I have to have these, like, I have to go through all this process so that tour guys can play an iron that works better in wedges with this new ball that I'm never going to sell to anybody else. I just don't get it. They're trying to defend something for 0.0000001% of the guys.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody said it was like the 1% of the 1% is what we're.
Yeah. I mean, no, our home club plays 6,400 yards, par 70.
Yeah.
And a great round of golf out there is someone shoots 67 or 68. It's a great round of golf because the greens are small and the right 99.99999% of the people.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect,
Yeah. I think I was
So
looking at something. Yeah, somebody posted on Facebook or social media somewhere, and it was kind of interesting. It was the driving distances over like from, I think it was like from John Daly era, and it was like the average driving distance was 260, and now it's 299, and so that's like a almost 8% increase over those years, And what I sat there and looked at was, okay, Augusta National. In that same time frame has increased its yardage, or I'm sorry, I reversed that. That was a 15% increase. Augusta National has increased its total yardage from like 6,900 to almost 75 or a little over 75. That's an 8% increase. And it's hard for me to sit here and justify that taking that increase in distance that most athletes have worked their bodies to get that. It's not necessarily all coming from the club and the technology. I agree that technology is advancing, but if they're working that hard in the gym, in the science and the biomechanics behind, we're understanding what muscles to train and how to train them better than we ever have. They literally have just taken that away and just gone. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the guys are bigger and stronger. Like, if you see DJ in person or something, he's like 6'5". Like, dude's big, right? And it's a big arc, and they train different. And yeah, but from a manufacturing standpoint, I mean, if I'm strict on golf, I don't know what I do. Do I really put this money into this ball, or do you just say, you know what, screw it, we're just going to build balls for the masses, making the products as good as we can.
Right.
The professionals are just, we'll have to play something else. Because like, who the hell is going to go buy that professional ball and torture themselves?
Right.
No one. Right. Yeah. It's And the selling component of being able to play what the professionals are playing is gone. I mean,
correct.
Yeah.
Right. So then what do you do with the club contract? I mean, you could go down so many rabbit holes of like, so now if they're not playing the same equipment, does it make sense for TaylorMade to have 12 guys out there that it's now, there's a bifurcation between what they can do and what they're selling you?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I don't, well,
it's very much like if the NBA decided they wanted to make the ball heavier so Steph Curry can't make a 3-pointer from half court.
And if you watch
the dumbest thing.
If you watch 80s athletic basketball, I mean, if you took a team from, I mean, even the Bulls teams that were great, but if you look at golf from basketball from 25 years ago, I mean, the athleticism and speed,
way different.
There's better, man. So I don't know. I understand where they're getting. I mean, I'll flip the sides. They don't want to be able to not play, St. Andrews. I mean, I get it.
Right.
But from a business standpoint in the golf business, I don't know how you then make all of that work without causing some real serious problems for the manufacturers, the players. Then there's the PGA Tour say, we're going to make our own rules. But then twice a year, maybe the US Open and Augusta, there's an Augusta ball.
Right.
Or an open ball then. So then, you have to go learn those golf balls. If it goes that way, does the RNA basically just make like 3 balls, a high spin ball, a mid spin ball, and a low spin ball?
Right.
Almost like tires in Formula One, where if you want to play in the open, I mean, they would have enough power to do it. You would just say, here's the open ball. You get to pick one of the 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe
Here's the
that's where it
fast.
goes for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The wildest thing to me though is if you look back at the past several US Opens, like every Saturday the USGA makes one of those par fours drivable because they
Right.
know it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
And now they're saying that people are driving the ball too far. So which way is it? How do you want your cake? Like you can't have it both ways, USGA. Like figure it out.
It's entertainment. People
Yeah.
like seeing stuff that I can't, I'm going to a Bulls game tonight. I want to see that athleticism because, I didn't have even my prime. I didn't have 1/50th of it. I admire watching it. I don't want to watch somebody like me out there shooting hoops. Like that's awful. Right? So
It's the
I
same.
want
Come
to
on.
see.
You don't
Yeah,
hang
yeah.
out at the Y and watch them just shoot
No,
3-pointers that way.
it's awful.
Come on.
No,
It's like
it's terrible.
it's like taking the NASCARs and just being like, you know what, we're gonna take that really great engine out. We're gonna put a really crappy one in there, and we're gonna let you go 60 miles an hour.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. I do
We'll
that.
see where this thing goes. To me,
Yeah.
it's getting a lot of pushback already.
Yeah. I think
But
the drivable par four is what you talk about of like, that's what made Riviera Country Club so much fun to watch. Like,
yeah,
and it was such a drastically different way that people played that drivable par four is like, I mean, you got Rahm over to the left side having to chip out and then get on the green, or literally you saw people get into the right hand, I think it was the green side bunker, and they couldn't get up and down, or they hit it into the other bunker, or they hit it back into it. And it was just like, you still have to put the ball in the hole. That's the thing to me.
I think though you could see maybe though I don't think the PGA of America would I guess they could, but I wouldn't. I mean, I could also see this eventually where the RNA says, and they would have enough power to do it because it is the Open, and you would just go practice a week earlier with that ball,
Right.
and then there's an open ball.
Yep.
And you get your three choices, and they don't. Then when manufacturer is not stuck, they just contractually have somebody, Bridgestone quietly make them these three balls. They go this far. If you don't want to play in the Open, you don't have to. And the PGA Tour just says, no, here's our rules. And if you want to go play in the Open or the US Open or Augusta, it's their rules. And there's your three balls you can use. Because those majors would have enough power to do it. But I just can't see the PGA Tour or Live Golf following that, or, the Champions Tour guys having less birdies out there. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they lived through the Balata ball era. They don't want to go back to that if they don't have to.
And people want to see Freddie hit 300-yard drives and make birdies out there, right?
Exactly.
Like that's why people want to go see it. They don't want to see Freddie hitting at 268.
Yeah, it sounds so fascinating.
Yeah, it's entertainment at the end of the day, right?
Yeah,
and if I go watch those great players in the Champions Tour, and they're still great players. Like if you play with Tommy, they're great. But I want to see Tommy hit a 300 yards still.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't want to see it go 270. Yeah, it's fun. They still, they still beat on it.
Yeah,
I want to see that. I want to see things that I can't do.
Yeah, 100%. Well, speaking of that, okay, so have you watched Full Swing on Netflix?
Yeah, I mean, I know all the scenarios ahead of time and stuff from just knowing all the guys on tour and stuff. Like I thought it was well produced. It's definitely produced for people who might not be into golf.
Right. Agreed.
I think Poulter's, and I think that guys were a little bit more interesting characters made for better shows. If they're, the guys were kind of vanilla, and Poulter kind of being Poulter's a little more entertaining. And, so like, I liked, the Joel Damon one. He's such a good dude from what I heard, like that one was really good. Tony Finau, from guys I know who know him, like, how do you not love Tony, right? You could just see such a good dude. So it highlighted some of for me, it's always going to be hard because I know all this stuff kind of what's going on ahead of time.
Right.
But I thought for like my wife loved it.
Yeah.
But she's not into all the inside baseball of what's happening at that current time a year ago and whatever it is. So I just think it was bad. Like I was entertained by it.
Yeah. I think you bring up a good point of I don't think their intention was to get new people into the game of golf, but it definitely was geared towards that. And I think that's a really good avenue of getting people piquing their interest, like you said about your wife. Same thing for my wife. Now she's like, oh, I want to watch Joel on Saturday, Sunday when he's playing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, all right, finally.
Yeah, they did a good job of bringing different kind of characters into it, and I like the guys who are slightly more off, like the characters like Poulter's, that was a great one because he's half crazy and it makes him more entertaining from a TV standpoint.
Yeah, half crazy, but still such a family guy, like such a
like his personality is like he's showing more emotion. You could tell missing, losing those match plays. The match play in Austin just ate at him, right? He was a little bit more Oh, I think sometimes the Europeans are like that a little bit more, where they will show,
Yeah.
they don't hide their emotions as much, and they show their true selves a little bit more. They're a little more open.
Yeah.
And from that standpoint, and that was cool to see from the Poulter, I guess, standpoint of knowing like he can lose his shit. Like we've
Yeah.
all been there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I mean, look at Terrell Hatton. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
he
love
goes
Terrell
crazy.
Hatton.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
want to see him do it more. So
Oh yeah, like that one thing when you hit that one shot. It's not the worst golf shot I've seen a professional hit. Don't lie.
oh,
And the guy's like, it is. That was awful. Yeah, I know,
yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I love that, right? But another dude who's supposed to be off the golf course, a great guy.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
you should have crazy on the golf course, but golf
Yeah.
will do that to you.
Oh,
I feel his pain.
What do you who do you hope to see? And maybe so don't spoil anything, but who do you hope to see on the second season?
Yeah, I haven't seen who they're
Yeah.
gonna bring out with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
do they cover? I haven't heard much. I mean, do they
Yeah.
start? Will they start doing some of the live guys and just see how that's going? That could be an interesting follow up.
Yeah.
I
Very
think
true.
everything Phil's been through would be interesting. Or does it through the PGA Tour and they try to, capture, their stars and a couple up and comers. Maybe like a Will Zalatoris story would be kind of
Yeah.
interesting to, with the injury and how's he dealing with it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's no one that stands out.
Yeah.
I think that it would be interesting. It'd be weird if they didn't do any part of the live guys of like how that turned out or what's happening now, sort of with them this second season with it.
I think they kind of
I mean,
have
how do
to.
you not tell that part of the story?
Yeah, agreed. Like you have to, it was so part of ingrained in the first season that you almost
Yeah.
have to go over there, pick 2 or 3 guys, or
Yeah.
two at the minimum, and just follow them. So
Yeah, how did it go? And they got regrets, or are they happy with their decision, or how's that going? Right.
right. That would be fun to watch. Like just
Mhm.
if the truth would come out, or whatever way, but just see really behind the scenes on what they think of that. So
Yeah.
All right. What if you could, anyone dead or alive, who would you play golf with? Who's your foursome that you're going out with?
And then, do they have to be golfers or non-golfers?
They can be anyone you like. Yeah.
Wow, that's an interesting one. So definitely would have John F. Kennedy in there.
Oh, okay.
That would just be cool. Can't be all golfers, right?
Right.
Gosh, who? Because he liked to golf, right? So you got to put that golfing president in there.
Yeah.
Gosh, okay. So who else would be fun? We got to have somebody who's fun. We got to have like a European who would just be a hell of a good time. Like, because Kennedy was Irish, maybe like a Darren Clark. We got to bring Clarky in for fun.
That would be fun. Yeah.
And they're both Irish, right? So they would get along well, right? You got to have Clark for entertainment.
Yeah.
And then Clarky and Tiger are good friends. So we bring Tiger in. So you got an ex-president, you got Clark for entertainment, and then Clark and Tiger would give each other shit the whole time, back and forth during the match, and I would just sit and kind of take it all in.
Yeah,
so I know it's kind of a
there you
weird
go.
grouping, but I just can't do like all golfers, right? Like, or the most. You got to have one European who would just be like you would laugh your ass off with the whole time as he's like sucking down Guinnesses and chain smoking cigarettes.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, in his hair, like that greasy hair would be coming down the side, and he would just be
yeah. Clark, but just like telling the funniest stories ever, right? Like, so there's I think that would be a pretty good foursome.
That would be pretty memorable. Kennedy, Clark, and Woods. That would be pretty fun. Yeah, you probably end up just not even really. You'd probably play a few holes, and then you'd be like, "I'm gonna just walk with you guys." And like,
I could care less. I would, I would just try to listen in the conversation and watch it. I would be zero part of actual playing that. I would just want to, listen to the stories and watch it up close. Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything we haven't talked about?
No, I mean the newest. We got some new stuff out, and the other cool thing we're doing is we're working with Lee McCoy. He used to play the PGA Tour, and now he's a coach at the University of Georgia. Is going to be our online teaching professional. Like, really cool because of all the experience. His career ended because of injury. Left wrist went bad, and 3 surgeries later, he just can't play at the highest level, unfortunately. So it's not from talent or desire. It's a career-ending injury. But
nice.
I've gotten to be good friends with Lee. I think he can bring so much to our customer base from now, as the golf swing, he's coaching at the collegiate level, but just the mental side of stuff. Like, he knows what it's like to hit shots on Sunday when it matters. It's won on the Canadian Tour. He's played all over the world. Like, what a great knowledge base. And he's such a good guy, and he really cares, that we're really excited to have him on board. Kind of like our official online teacher. Send him lessons. You're going to have conversations about strategy, mental side of stuff. Like, there's nothing like when you've seen it all, and he has literally seen it all.
Man, such an underrated part of the game is that mental side of it, of hitting that shot on Sunday, like you're talking about, coming down to the wire. I mean, even in the small groups that are playing Saturdays and Sunday, the public golf course, there's pressure there of like trying to finish it. I mean, mental side is such a underrated part of the game, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, those guys say that, right? So your Saturday match was their PGA Tour, but it doesn't matter. It's pressure's all relative of what level you're at, and they can still use the same tools that work for Lee on the PGA Tour or to win on the Canadian Tour that you can play on your Saturday and Sunday matches.
Yeah,
so he's going to bring the full gamut. It's an honor to be able to work with him. It really is.
That's cool. Well, congratulations to you. That's awesome. Well, Jason, thank you for being on the show. We truly appreciate you taking the time. We don't want to keep you from that Bulls game, and so get there and have fun. But keep us in mind for anything in the future. We'd love to hang out with you in the future. So
yeah, if you guys ever need anything else, I love doing these. Just let me know, and if anything pops up, I'm always glad to do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. Wonderful. We appreciate it. Have a great time with your family. All right.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Jason. Love the products.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.